When a noble's manhood was on the line, my buddy invited me to play a game. He was trying out a homebrew setting. Phantoms and ghosts and shit be haunting everywhere. You guys will use cameras to capture their souls, which can be used to manipulate objects as a source of energy. Oh, so it's Ghostbusters plus Pokemon. No, it's not. Gotta catch 'em all! First session is with the DM, myself and one other player. DM says roll up standard character with short backstory and premise. Can get more details later. Be excited. As a forever DM, I'm excited about getting to make character. I design a dragonborn domain of light cleric with knight background. Idea is he was a former noble turned zealot due to a traveling priest's preachings. Now is a serious, harsh, albeit good-aligned crusader-esque cleric. I will eventually multi-class into a fighter, but I digress. The character was meant to be straight-laced and serious, and is also a noble. Remember that. Nobility will be on the exam. The DM describes first scene. Me and the other guy who rolled a ranger are with caravan going to spooky swamp village. There be a ghosting present. During this scene, DM has introduced our characters. I do so. Raymond of House Wraithen, the noble cleric with his squire and 2 followers. Ranger. Oh, you did a noble. That's hilarious. So did I. We chuckle. We tell DM we spend the caravan trip talking SH to the rest of the lowborns there. Get to Swamp Town. Get room in tavern. Get told the ghost hides in the swamp. Because, of course it does. Give 3 gold pieces to one of my underlings. Go buy us some torches. DM. How many should I buy, sire? Me, who as a DM should know the cost of a torch but doesn't. I don't know. Buy 3 gold worth. Ranger and I then go investigate the town for more information. No one knows much, just bad spooky in the swamp, and it gets chilly sometimes. Go back to tavern. There's a massive pile of torches up to the ceiling. I blink. We spent hours dragging them here, sire. How much does a torch cost? DM. 1 copper piece? Huh. Oops. I take 3 torches, give 1 to Thomas, Ranger, and tell them to return the rest. DM. Your underlings look at you with hatred. As it should be. We venture into the swamp, torches held high. Immediately shit goes south. Thomas nimbly steps over a puddle. Raymond, of course, tries to step over it too. I fail the dex save and fall in. It's forever deep. Start drowning. I get pulled out by Thomas eventually, taking damage to con and shit. Thomas pokes the puddle. Is now puddle deep. I swear, it was going to kill me. We keep going. Haunted deer attack us. We're but level 1 scrubs. We win, but we got whacked. No more spells. Low health. We short rest. During short rest, a cold snap hits us. We lose the benefits of the short rest. DM. Your squire tells you it may be best to head back to town. Me as a typical forever DM am able to decode this message as, please go back to town. You're both going to die. I nod to the DM and start reviewing my character sheet to see what I can buy or do in town to better prep for swamp. DM starts going through notes. Thomas. Well, I don't know about you, Raymond, but I can keep going. I blink. Silence across the table. DM didn't notice, is just reviewing notes. What would my character do? Thomas is measuring the size and nobility of his manhood to my characters. DM. Okay, as you guys I don't go back. DM. Excuse me? In my best high-pitched, arrogant noble voice. Raymond looks at Thomas and says, No, Sir Thomas, I'm fine. Let's keep going. Thomas and I look at DM. His face is one of pure panic and dread. We immediately start laughing. Yes, Sir Thomas, let us be off. Quite so, Sir Raymond. Squire begs us to go back. Silence, knave. The blue bloods are talking. We continue through the swamp. A ghost Goliath shows up. It almost kills us. We retreat, tactfully and with dignity. Literally alive by a thread. Look at Thomas. He looks at me. Well, I can keep going, but I don't know about you. Ah, Sir Raymond, a man of high value you are. I was about to say the same to you. Indeed. Well, shall we engage our foe once more? Go back to where the ghost was. He's not there. DM is refusing to allow more spookiness until we go back. Squire is threatening to revolt. Torches are no longer lighting. I get the hint finally. Sir Thomas, I'm of a mind to head back to town. They may require the talents of our noble minds to carry out day-to-day organization. Well, Sir Raymond, sounds like you just want to go back. I look at the DM. His eyes plead with me. Well, Sir Thomas, as a benevolent leader, it is my duty to escort my servants to safety when they so require. Dear Ilya, my squire, would you like to head back to town? DM, please! In that case, how can I say no? The campaign ended up being a long-running affair. More players joined, the setting expanded, and both Raymond and Thomas continued their dick-measuring contests almost every session. My throat was torn from keeping up that ridiculous voice, but Raymond forever was my most enjoyable and perhaps goofiest character, with much more antics and craziness. The phrase, "I can keep going," made its mark to this day. And now for the time Sir Raymond learns, abuses, and regrets nothing about learning Fireball. It's me again playing my favorite character, Sir Raymond the Dragonborn Light Domain Cleric, also Noble Asshole. If the DM of this campaign had a nickel for every noble asshole in the party, he'd have two. Which is strange since Raymond only has one bum. I digress. As a forever DM, I often dealt with the power spike of Fireball from players. Players would often whoop and holler in arousal and excitement once gaining the spell. As the one making the dex saves, I never understood this. But this instance, the tables turned. They flipped. At this point in the campaign, we were gang leaders. Having forcibly taken over the major city's lesser gang, we began a reorganization campaign, recruiting and expanding our influence. Raymond, of course, being a pious boyo, opened a church to his god's honor. In his mind, the gang was a tool to be used for his god, Belinus. They were practically worshippers, even if they didn't know it themselves. Due to our actions, the other major gang in the city took notice. They began taking hostile actions, like existing. This meant the opposing gang in the city were heretical at best, deserving of holy fire. At this point, we were up there in levels. Raymond had multi-classed into fighter, taking 2 levels. This delayed what I eagerly waited for, but Action Surge was a part of the plan. Then it happened. We get back to our tavern/church to rest, after a raid against the enemy. DM, you guys can go ahead and level up. Jubilation immediately shot through me. I began to visibly sweat. I said the words my entire party wanted to hear. Raymond learns Fireball. The DM looked at me in clear horror. What happened next was a blur. But shameful as it is, I became that guy for a moment. Raymond immediately exited his church and walked to the rival gang's side of town. I stand with my hands on my hips and wait for conflict. The DM just blinks. Nothing happens. DM, why is there no conflict? You're in the middle of a major city in broad daylight. Why would they start a fight? His logic irked me. Raymond went to a nearby general store and purchased paint. After a series of vandalizing stunts and general douchebag behavior, the rival gang finally took notice. A group of a dozen or so thugs approached Raymond. "You got a death wish or something?" the DM said. His Brooklyn accent was fire, clearly well rehearsed. But they didn't know. I was also Fireball. And it was at this moment I knew. I understood the seductive nature of the spell. I looked at the player playing Thomas. He'd known about this from the start. Without another word, I said it. I cast Fireball at my feet. Dex saves. The explosion was horrendous. My good-aligned cleric apparently did not consider the bystanders or citizens simply walking on the sidewalk nearby collateral. I failed my own save, but was resistant nonetheless. The thugs, to their merit, survived. But I action surged. I cast Fireball again. They perished, punished for taking employment with the rival gang. They should have known better than to be poor. Without another thought, Raymond ran back to the church. No doubt the guards were coming. Bodies littered the streets. The thugs? Heretical lowborns who deserved it. The innocent? Martyrs, of course. Once it was over, the DM and my entire party just stared at me. "Did you get it out of your system?" Thomas would ask. Absolutely. I lied. The entire point of the build was all the fireballs. I would fireball at a moment's notice. 3rd level spell slots could not be used for anything else. The party fighter? Dying? Don't worry, Raymond can res you. I can't. I took Fireball today instead. The looks of hatred. You're the cleric and you wasted your revives on Fireball? Yes. Don't judge me. You would too. Or should anyway. Shortly after this, I would retire Raymond, replacing him with a drug addict hobbyist lizard folk samurai. COVID would then hit, and upon reconvening with my party, I reverted back to forever DM status. But I will never forget the thrill of learning Fireball. So to my wizards and other spell enthusiasts reading, I just wanted to tell you, I understand. I know. Fireball, the most addictive spell in D&D. That much power at your fingertips? How can you not shout, "I cast Fireball" at your foes? Tell us about your hilarious Fireball catastrophes in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.